Lower your voice, my mother hissed, fingers tapping the dining table like a countdown. My father didn't even look at me. He smirked at the printed wedding budget in his hand and said, "Why are you acting so expensive?" The word expensive hung in the air like smoke. My fiancé's hand tightened around mine. I felt it. He said nothing. "My name is Elena Brooks, I'm 29. At what point does love become a bargaining chip for the people who raised you?" Across the table my aunt leaned back, satisfied, while my cousin scrolled on her phone as if my wedding day was already hers. "Just share the date," my mother said lightly. "Same venue, same decorations. Family saves money." My father finally looked up. "Or we cut the money." Cut. Such a clean word for something so violent. The room smelled like overcooked chicken and cheap wine. The chandelier above us flickered once, just once, and for a strange second it felt like it was watching me. Waiting. My fiancé opened his mouth. Closed it. Silence swallowed him whole. That was when I realized something quiet and terrifying. They weren't asking, they were rehearsing ownership. And in that moment, staring at the reflection of myself in the dark window, I understood. This wedding was never meant to be mine. The silence stretched so long I could hear the refrigerator humming behind me, steady and indifferent, like it had no stake in my life at all. My mother broke it first. "Don't make that face," she said, waving her hand. "We're being practical." Practical. That was her favorite word when feelings got in the way of control. My cousin finally looked up from her phone and smiled. Not at me but at my fiancé. "It'll be fun," she said. "Double wedding. People will talk about it for years." She laughed softly, already enjoying something she hadn't earned. I watched my fiancé's reflection in the glass cabinet. His jaw was tight. His shoulders stiff. He still didn't speak. That hurt more than my parents' words. My father leaned back, crossing his arms. "We're paying," he said calmly. "So we decide." Then, almost casually, "If you want your own wedding so badly, do it with your own money." The room felt smaller. The walls closer. Even the chair beneath me felt like it was leaning in, listening. I looked at my mother, waiting. Some sign she would step in, soften it, protect me like she used to when I was a child. She didn't. Instead she nodded. That was the moment something inside me went cold. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just clear. I reached for my glass of water, my hand steady despite everything, and thought, they think I need them more than they need me. They were wrong. I swallowed the water slowly, feeling it travel down like a decision being sealed. No one spoke. They were waiting for tears. For pleading. For gratitude dressed up as obedience. Dad, I smiled. It surprised even me. "Okay," I said quietly. My mother blinked. My father's smirk widened, already tasting victory. "Good," he said. "Then we're settled." My fiancé finally turned to look at me. His eyes searched my face, confused, almost afraid. His thumb brushed my knuckle once. An apology without words. We stood up to leave. Chairs scraped the floor. My aunt muttered, "Smart girl," as if I had just learned my place. The mirror near the hallway caught my reflection. I barely recognized the calm woman staring back. The dress sketch in my bag pressed against my side like a secret. In the car, the city lights passed in long, silent streaks. "I should have said something," my fiancé whispered. His voice cracked on the last word. I rested my forehead against the window. "You did," I said. "You showed me." That night I opened my laptop and began canceling things, one by one. Venue. Caterer. Flowers. Each confirmation email felt like a quiet door closing behind me. I folded my mother's handwritten guest list and slid it into a drawer I rarely opened. It sat there perfectly still like it was waiting. By the time I shut the laptop my hands were shaking, but my mind was steady. They thought money meant ownership. I was about to teach them the cost of that belief. Morning light crept through the curtains, pale and unsure, like it didn't want to interrupt what I had decided. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Then again. And again. My mother's name. I let it ring. Beside me my fiancé sat up, running a hand through his hair. "They're going to be furious," he said softly. "I know." My voice didn't shake. I texted only one line. "We're handling the wedding ourselves." No explanation. No apology. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Disappeared. Then a call. I silenced it. The mirror in the bathroom caught me as I brushed my teeth. My eyes looked older somehow. Quieter. The scarf hanging on the hook, my grandmother's, the one my mother said I could borrow for the ceremony, swayed slightly when the door closed. I took it down and folded it carefully into my bag. It felt warm, like it remembered hands kinder than hers. By noon my father left a voicemail. His voice was calm, which meant danger. "Think carefully," he said. "Don't embarrass the family. Embarrass.as if love was a performance." That afternoon we booked 2 tickets. Not fancy. Not announced. Just far enough that no one could reach us in time. When I finally listened to the rest of the messages, my mother cried. My aunt threatened. My cousin laughed in one voice note and said, "She'll come around." I didn't respond. That night I lay awake listening to the quiet. No plans. No approval. Just the steady breathing of the man beside me. And for the first time the silence felt like mine. The airport smelled like coffee and polished floors. A place where no one knew my last name or my parents' expectations. That we moved through the terminal quietly, shoulders close, like we were protecting something fragile. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my cousin. "You're being dramatic," she texted. "Dad says you'll regret this." I watched the message sit there, unread in her mind, unanswered in mine. Then I turned the phone face down. The screen went black and with it their access to me. At the gate my fiancé finally spoke. "Are you sure?" Not doubt, respect. I nodded and pulled the scarf from my bag. I wrapped it once around my wrist, feeling the soft fabric press against my pulse. A reminder. A witness. On the plane, turbulence shook the cabin briefly. A woman across the aisle laughed nervously. The man next to her squeezed her hand. Life going on. Unconcerned with my family's rules. Mid-flight, an email notification slipped through before I could turn airplane mode on. Wedding account access updated. I knew what that meant. My father had already noticed. Already reacted. I imagined him at his desk, jaw tight, realizing something small but important. He no longer had the leverage he thought he did. As the plane leveled out, sunlight flooded the cabin. I closed my eyes and felt it warm my face. Behind us, bridges were burning quietly. Ahead of us, something unnamed was waiting. The town we arrived in was small, quiet. An old brick hotel, a street lined with trees that didn't pretend to be anything but themselves. I walked through the lobby, my heels echoing softly, every step a tiny defiance. My fiancé followed, hands in pockets, glancing at the receptionist like a man entering a new life. I held my bag closer. Inside it, the folded scarf. Inside me, the calm certainty that nothing from the past would touch this day. We signed a few papers. Paid cash. No witnesses. No approvals. Every line I wrote felt like reclaiming something I'd been told I didn't deserve. That evening, the hotel room looked ordinary. Safe. The bedspread smelled faintly of lavender. The window opened to the hum of distant traffic. Outside, the city lights were insignificant, almost tender. I draped the scarf over the dresser. A silent nod to the family who thought they could dictate me. My fiancé unpacked quietly. Then he stopped, turned to me and whispered, "They'll never see this coming." Not a boast. A promise. Later we shared a simple meal, bread, cheese, wine, and spoke in whispers about names, vows, promises that didn't need witnesses. In the soft lamplight, I realized the greatest part of my revenge wasn't anger. It was the quiet dignity of doing exactly what they forbade. As we toasted, the room shimmered in candlelight. I imagined my father at home, phone in hand, realizing he'd been outmaneuvered by someone he underestimated. His own daughter. And I felt, finally, the delicate, exhilarating taste of freedom. The next morning, the town was waking slowly, fog curling along the streets like secrets refusing to leave. I stepped outside, scarf wrapped around my neck, and felt the air press gently against my face. Fresh. Untouched. My phone buzzed again, emails, texts, missed calls. Every one from them. My parents. My aunt. My cousin. Each message hotter than the last. Each word a silent admission that control had slipped through their fingers. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Instead, I opened my laptop and sent a small update to the family group. A single photograph. The two of us, laughing on a bridge near the hotel, rings visible, hands entwined. No caption. Just proof. Within hours, chaos bloomed in their world. Voices rose, phones rang, accusations flew. But I sat quietly in my room, sipping tea, watching the sunrise. The mirror on the dresser caught my reflection. My eyes were calm, confident. The scarf draped over my wrist. A symbol, a witness, a reminder of what I had taken back. My autonomy. My fiancé placed his hand over mine. "You did it," he said softly. I didn't answer. I just smiled. Because in that quiet, ordinary moment I understood. Revenge wasn't yelling, wasn't confrontation, wasn't proving them wrong loudly. It was living fully, beautifully, untouched by their greed or mockery. And as the fog lifted, revealing the rooftops and the river beyond, I felt a satisfaction so deep it hummed beneath my skin. They had taught me nothing about money, nothing about weddings, nothing about me. I had taught them everything about consequences. The chapel was tiny, almost hidden behind ivy and stone, and it smelled faintly of cedar and old paper. I walked down the aisle alone at first. The scarf wrapped around my wrist like a talisman, every step measured, deliberate. Outside the world waited, unaware. Inside I felt infinite. He met me at the altar with that quiet smile I had come to love. The one that spoke of shared secrets, of battles won without shouting. No one else mattered. No approvals. No inheritance. No mockery. We exchanged vows quietly, words chosen for meaning, not for applause. Each promise was a small rebellion, each ring a declaration that no one could touch our joy. When he kissed me, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud. It was enough. Perfectly enough. Later, in a cafe tucked around the corner, I watched the city hum. My parents' calls went unanswered. My cousins' messages were ignored. My aunt's threats vanished into the ether of my new life. And I realized, revenge had never been about breaking them. It had been about breaking free. I pulled the scarf from my wrist, folded it carefully, and placed it in my bag. A memory. A witness. A symbol of my clarity. For the first time, my laughter was not for anyone's approval. It belonged to me. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the streets gold, I whispered to no one, we were never theirs to control. And in that quiet, glowing city I felt whole.